Hello and welcome to The Golden Shakespeare, a podcast where we talk about movies. I'm Justin and with me today is...
Patrick.
And...
James.
Today's movie is the 2011 film The Devil's Double. But before we dive into talking about that, we're going to kind of introduce ourselves because this is the first ever, the inaugural, I believe is the term for it, Golden Shakespeare podcast.
Da-da-da-da!
So I'm going to let Patrick start, and I think the best way for us to introduce ourselves is, because we're going to be talking about movies for the next hour and an unexpected number of hours after this on previous weeks, that you can learn about what we like about movies and what makes us click for that. So Patrick, I have to ask you the question, what is your favorite movie?
Well, my favorite movie is... what year is it? Oh, God. I want to know what year it is. I don't know what year it is. Came after Star Wars.
2014 is the year.
Yeah.
The current year is 2014.
My favorite movie is Jaws. I think a lot of thing about what makes a thing your favorite thing is... part of it's because it's your first. And part of it, when you're young, it informs you and you develop along with that. So Jaws was one of my first horror movies I ever watched as a kid. It got really hyped up on my dad. I was annoying him, and we were on a car ride, and he was telling me stories to shut me up, and I wouldn't stop asking questions. And he described to me the scene in Jaws of the Ben Gardner boat when Richard Dreyfuss goes under the boat, spoilers, to go see what's wrong with the boat, and the head pops out. And I thought, that sounds so cool. Oh my god, this must be the coolest movie ever. So my parents rented it from 5-Star Video and popped the VHS into the machine, and I don't remember very much of the movie because I was so terrified. But I loved it, and it was crazy. The reasons why I love Jaws now, watching it as an adult, the cast is absolutely perfect. The three guys, Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw, they have such perfect chemistries. They're like archetypal characters. Yeah. Almost. Like, that's almost selling them short, saying like they're stereotyping in their acting, but they are perfect, all three of them. Can't be beat. That third act on the boat. Like, the first two acts are great.
Yeah.
The third act on the boat, you can't beat it. The film has a really, really, really good balance of... It's very horrific, the subject matter, people getting ripped apart by a giant shark. But there's a lot of sense of play and levity, and it's like, it's not a heavy movie. It doesn't force down on its audience. It stays light, and there's a sense of playfulness and adventure, and it's an adventure movie. Even though some would call it a horror movie, I feel like there's lots of adventure in it.
One of my favorite things about it is that even though it doesn't show that much of the shark actually ripping into the whoever it eats, you always just, for some reason, it feels like a very violent movie, and then you watch it and you're like, this isn't as violent as I remembered, because it stays with you and, like, makes you feel like it was much worse than it was.
There's nothing more badass than, like, stabbing a shark in the face as it's eating you.
That is true.
That's probably the most violent thing in the movie, and it's also my favorite death in a movie ever when, spoilers, Quint is getting eaten, and he's in the jaws of the shark, and he's stabbing in the face, in the jaws. That's
the jaws of Jaws.
And he's stabbing in the face with a machete, and he just vomits blood and gets dragged under. There's nothing more manly. I want to die that well in life. I hope. I pray. So the balance of the horror and the fun, and then, of course, the John Williams score, which is obviously it's part of like modern culture.
Yes,
like
100%.
It's ingrained. You can't get away from it. People, like, children don't know fear or shame until you teach them it. A kid won't be scared of going into the ocean until you show them Jaws, and then they will be afraid.
Yeah.
And even I remember when I was younger, I'd go into like the swimming pool, and if I'd be in the deep end tank doing laps, I'd like think, oh my god, there could be a shark in the swimming pool.
Would you like hear the music in your head as
you
were swimming? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'd visualize like I'd if I was doing like front crawl, I had my goggles on, like I need to scan the water because I'm afraid there's a shark in this water, even though it's totally irrational.
Albeit, if a shark was in a swimming pool and ate you, kudos to that shark for getting there.
Very sneaky.
And then, getting his prey.
Maybe. Also keeping a job long enough to afford the admission into a pool.
Yeah, that's the one thing, is be able to actually get money to get into the swimming pool, because it's not like you can just fly
Unless he actually goes in and he's like, I'm going to be your lifeguard, and then we're going to be like, what are your qualifications? He's like, I can swim really good.
Or maybe he's teaching the Aquatots shark class, because they all assign them by little cute animals.
That's true. Something that we should let you guys know as the audience about the Golden Shakespeare is our policy on spoilers. The movie of the week will be something that we will go into depth about. We will give our opinions on. We will really critique and just talk about everything in the plot. When we bring up random movies on the side, we're going to generally try to forewarn about a spoiler or beat around the bush and have it so that we don't actually spoil anything. Unfortunately, with Jaws, we spoiled it, but at the same time, I expect you to have already seen Jaws, because Jaws is like one of those things.
It is required viewing.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's you got to learn how to walk, talk, oxygen, and watch Jaws. With that, James, I'm wondering what your favorite movie is.
Oh, it's going to be really embarrassing now, but my favorite movie is The Road to El Dorado.
No, it's got David Hyde Pierce in it, right?
I don't know.
Oh, no, it's Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh are the two that play Miguel and Tulio in it.
Yeah.
Kevin Kline plays Tulio and Kenneth Branagh plays Miguel.
Yeah. I don't know what it was about that movie, but the situation. This is the first time a movie ever did this for me in theaters. And the situation was, I was at my buddy's house on the weekend, and we'd had a sleepover, and it was like the morning after, and we were hanging out. We were kids. It's not weird. Shut up.
No, it's okay.
If you want to, it's fine.
If you want to share that too.
I'm just getting defensive because Patrick always accuses me of
having a questionable childhood.
Yeah. But anyways, we're at his place. We're hanging out, and then my mom calls me. She's like, "Well, I'm gonna come get you in like 20 minutes." I'm like, "No, I want to hang out with my friend." Both lame. She's like, "No, I'm gonna come get you. You don't have a choice." And I was all mad and broody. And so my mom comes and gets me, and then she's like, "Surprise! You're going to a movie with your sister." And I was like, "That's dumb. I don't want to hang out with my sister." And anyway, she takes us to the Road to El Dorado, and it blew me away. Everything from like, I was a kid, right? So it was like along that Disney vein where it's like, the characters are funny. There's quick little like little jokey bits in between every.
With the armadillo.
The armadillo, yeah.
The armadillo, yeah. And just the whole starting is like as an adult watching it, it's a very fast, very simple movie, but. It was just there was this sense of wonderment and again adventure to it, and it was the first time I ever came out of a movie that I can remember in a theater just glowing and being like, I did not expect that. That was so good. Oh my god, just like
I love movies that surprise you when you're like, this is gonna suck.
I remember just seeing a like advertisement for it briefly and being like, oh, another animated movie.
Well, I loved it because I remember at the Silver Screen, as they used to call it, Silver City. In West Edmonton Mall, they had a giant poster for Road to El Dorado, and it was the treasure map. Yeah. And as a kid, I thought that was the most fucking like sickest advertising ever. I'm like, as a little kid, I looked up and I tugged on my dad's sleeve, and I'm like, "Dad, that's fucking sick." And he's like, "Yo, we don't teach you that language here." But no, in general, any movie that can stand the test of time for your enjoyment. That's one of the things, is
like to date. Like if my sister's sick or something at home and we're just hanging out or whatever, we'll pop in Road to El Dorado. We'll still watch it, and like word for word, I will be able to recite Tulio's lines, and she'll do Miguel's lines, and then everyone else will just fill it. And it's one of those things.
Everyone else in the room will just be like, "What is going on?"
Yeah. So you guys have cast each other.
Yeah. Because when I was a little kid, I was miserable and melancholy like Tulio.
When you were a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that hasn't stopped.
No. Yeah. So, but it's one of those things, it's just still to date one of those things you can still look back on with almost childlike wonderment.
Yeah.
Justin, what is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Requiem for a Dream by Darren Aronofsky.
Oh god damn, my movie's so lame compared to you two.
When I saw that movie for the first time, I was in high school. Actually, the first time I saw it was in junior high school when this guy came to our school, and everyone got funneled into the gym, and he was like, drugs are bad. So he showed us clips from Requiem for a Dream. He only showed us 3 of the 4 characters, completely ignoring one of the most critical characters in the movie in terms of what drugs can do to you.
That fool was not a film aficionado, I tell you.
But then I actually saw the full movie, and the feeling I got at the end is the exact same feeling I get whenever I watch it. I can watch it every day, and I'd still love it as much as I did the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those movies that when I saw it, this is the feeling that movies should have for me. It was like the thing that opened my eyes to everything that I love. I have some friends that hate it. They just oppose Requiem for a Dream, and it's one of those things like that's the end of that friendship, because I love that movie so much. You can hate it, but then I have full free power to hate you, right?
Yes.
That's fair. Like if I said I hated Jaws, you'd be like, can you walk and breathe? Because
are you a mouth breather?
I won't answer that here.
Definitely am, because you're probably going to hear it.
I hope not.
Keep your mouth away from the mic.
Okay.
But would you say Requiem for a Dream, which I haven't seen?
Yeah, we're going to be watching it on here in the future.
That's when you watch it, or when you first watched it, you kind of had this epiphany moment where you thought you applied what the movie said to you to the context of your whole life.
No, it actually did not have that effect on me.
No.
Because when I've never had the urge to do drugs, right? And I actually don't even look at it as a story of... I don't look at it as a lot of people look at it, where it's like, this is against drugs.
Mm-hmm.
It's against bad personalities, because that's what it really is. It's 4 idiots who ruin their lives, but they use drugs as the method to do it.
So can you describe more, like, what's that revelation you had when you watched it for the first time? What was that moment?
It was a moment, okay, because I want to make movies.
Yeah.
And it was the revelation of this feeling that I got is what I want to give to someone when watching a movie. That just the goosebumps, and for the world to just stop, because every time, like, the majority of everyone's first watch of Requiem for a Dream is when the credits start rolling, everyone in the room just sits quietly for like the first 90 seconds of the credits, which doesn't happen often. There's very few times where I've been to a movie that's actually happened. And it's just that I enjoy misery, and that movie is full of it. I like sad movies. I like depressing endings. I like stories that everything just crumbles apart, and it just spoke to me. It was like, this is a movie for me, and this is the kind of movie I want to make for someone fucked up like me one day.
Interesting.
It's not a happy movie.
No.
The movie we watched today is not really a...
No, it wasn't crushing. Well,
It wasn't-
there are things that are crushing. The ending is not crushing, but the subject matter is very heavy.
The movie was good. I disliked the subject matter to the point where I had trouble watching the movie.
The film is called The Devil's Double, and it follows a guy named, if I butcher any of the pronunciation on this, I apologize profusely, but it's Latif Yahia. Would that say that's how we're doing it?
That's good.
He is not. I would say hired, but he was actually like forced,
Pretty much
threatened
extorted.
to be Uday Hussein's body double.
Yes, one of Saddam Hussein's 2 sons.
Yes, the crazy one,
The psychopath one.
Yeah, the one who is. Throughout the movie, we were comparing the two to the Joker
And Batman. Yes.
Yeah. In the sense that he was always like, you need me and I need you, when, Latif did not actually need him.
No, he didn't. No, it was more, I love you too much to let you go.
Yeah,
I won't kill
yeah.
you because you're too much. I like having you around. That was the Joker kind of.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's totally chaotic and will just do anything out of nowhere, like gut someone.
Yeah, and just Latif just being Latif and not like Uday wouldn't kill Uday, even though he had ample opportunity, and much like Batman.
Much like this is basically the next Batman movie, right?
No.
Yeah.
I think this actually takes place between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
It's why
This is actually when Bruce Wayne went missing after he escaped from the prison.
Yeah.
In the well.
Yeah.
Spoilers. This is
that's where he came out. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's when he was missing there.
The Dominic Cooper, who most recently that many people would know him, played Tony Stark's father in Captain America,
The first
right?
Avenger.
the first Avenger,
And he has a small
subtitle.
and he has a small cameo in Captain America: The Winter Soldier as a photograph on a wall.
I don't call that a cameo though.
So Tommy Lee Jones didn't have a cameo
No,
because he was also a photograph.
It's just a photograph.
Isn't he also in like a reel in Iron Man 2?
No, I think they used a different actor for that. They used some guy who looks like close to the end of the real Walt Disney.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't use him. Maybe because he was older? That must have been it.
I don't know.
Did Iron Man 2 come out before Captain America?
Yeah. Didn't it?
I don't think they got it too
The
out.
whole Marvel universe has just been shoved down your throat so fast.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday that the Avengers assembled.
Yeah, no, they definitely didn't use Dominic Cooper though in Iron Man 2. But he was in Captain America: The First Avenger. And he was really good. He looked a lot like who the heck, the actor who plays Eric from that 70s show.
Oh God, Topher Grace.
He looked like Topher Grace with a mustache in that movie.
In that movie, but in this
movie he looks good. He looks like a guy who could be a body double for Saddam Hussein's son.
Saddam Hussein's son looked like Dominic Cooper.
Yeah.
Yes.
He plays both roles. He plays both Latif and Uday, and they are very different characters. Mm-hmm. Like it's one of those things that they act. Normally, when I watch a movie and one character plays two roles, it feels like it's one character, like one actor playing two roles,
like
two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
What's that Nick Cage movie where he plays a screenwriter and his twin?
Is that Adaptation?
Adaptation. Yeah. Or like any Mike Myers movie. It's like these are all kind of the same.
Yeah,
thing,
and it's the
pretty
same
much.
person. But with this one, when he was playing Uday, we all hated him. We all just hated his character.
There's actually one really good scene I liked when he first started trying to learn how to imitate Uday. How, even though he played Uday, he was able to make it look so uncomfortable and foreign to actually start looking and smiling, talking, walking as Uday. Like it legitimately looked like a struggle.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what floored me the most, is that I had this one character who I'm not going to say I was exactly rooting for him, but I saw his plight, and then the same actor playing this character that was just like every time he was there, you're like, what the fuck is he going to do now?
Latif wasn't like a knight in shining armor or a like seeking justice or good. He was very like he was trapped, and he was just a good-hearted guy who was in a very bad situation, but he wasn't like the paragon of good. But he would always try to keep his hands out of the muck, because Uday constantly through the movie was trying to get his hands dirty, get him to kill people, get him to take part of his sadistic life.
Uday.
Which was an interesting thing. I don't remember who said it. Was it the Sarab, or however you pronounce her name, character said he loves himself, and he's trying to turn.
That was yeah.
Well, a few people said it kind of.
A few people said it because I know he said it once too.
Yeah, Uday said, or did
he's like Latif's like he's like I love you, and then he responded with no, you love Uday.
Yeah. So Uday is in love with himself, and he's like trying to make another Uday out of Latif, but also like he's also very flippant with his love or his fancy, whatever the thing is. Like he can just gut someone and throw them away because he gets bored with them, or he just flies off the handle. Like you're never safe around him.
Before we go even further, we should kind of define of why he's a body double. It's basically like they actually spend in the movie, they spend a lot of time together, even in public. But Latif's job is basically, from what I gathered in the film, was to go to appearances that Uday did not want to do.
It's not do not want to do. Body doubles are usually used in matters of like
security.
Yeah.
Albeit though there were a few times when Uday said, "You do this one, I don't want to do it."
Yeah.
But then in general, what he was used for in this film was walking in and out of locations, while Uday probably was ushered out the back and hidden. He was the target for assassinations, so that Uday himself would not get killed.
One of the strongest things. So Dominic Cooper is playing both of these characters, and I imagine that they had to do lots of post-production where they're shooting one plate and they're rotoscoping in the other actor, and they have to do multiple takes, and it's a difficult process. None of that comes through in the movie. It looks all very natural, and I'm sure a lot of hard work went into it. But I really got to praise Dominic Cooper for the way he characterizes them. Like, there is the stuff, like the personality, and another big thing is the metabolism of the characters. Like, Uday moves a lot faster, and he's more erratic with his movement, and he's kind of all over the place and energetic, and Latif is kind of more a little slouchy and set straight, and he doesn't run about. But the thing where he can differentiate them just by the way he holds his face. And it's like, it's nothing small. Like, it is small what he does.
Yeah.
But it creates a huge impression to differentiate the two. Just this little sneer and this, like, kind of like, you know, the backwoods hillbilly teeth.
Yeah.
And you can instantly tell it's Uday. And when Dominic Cooper is not Uday, he's Latif, you can tell, like, right away, like, that's Latif. They have the same face, but you can it's remarkable that you can tell the two characters that
just like
easily.
that, yeah.
Yeah. They never did what I thought that they might tease later in the movie, where at one point there would be a sequence where you can't tell which one is which, and that might be a suspenseful scene, but they never tried that.
And I think it kind of makes sense that they didn't try it because of how I don't think any of us from the beginning expected Uday to be as crazy as he was. You know, like, the first one, it was bad, and then it just got worse, and then it got worse.
The one thing we should also
worse.
state is, well, I'm kind of speaking for myself here, and I'm just assuming the same for both of you, but, like, I don't know much about the Gulf War or, you know, Iraq or the politics involved there. So maybe someone who's more informed about that might see a little more of this film coming, you know. But
yeah.
Being, like, I'd never seen the film before, and I'm not informed about the whole situation or recent history of that country or their political leaders. So a lot of it was very surprising to me. I didn't know Saddam had sons.
It seemed kind of obvious to me, though, that a person growing up in that situation where their father was pretty much like the dictator,
yeah,
and they're given everything, you know, golden spoon, you know, they would be like a privileged, annoying, selfish prick. But he, like, we don't see too much of the other son of Saddam's. Like, he's in the background.
The time we do see him, he seems a lot more refined.
He's a straight
and, like,
arrow.
yeah, like, at least in the, once again, we're not speaking about the real, you know, Saddam Hussein's children. We don't know anything about them, and we're not saying they're good people. Mind you, this is just in regards to the film. But in the film, I'm not saying I support Saddam Hussein. I'm not saying that.
It's a little late for that.
So you're against Saddam.
I am against Saddam Hussein.
Okay.
You guys can be for him for all I care. But in the movie,
I stay with the winning team.
The one son who was not Uday seemed like the quote-unquote good son, and the one who was, you know, flying right like a straight arrow, as this guy said.
Yeah, but it seemed like it seemed obvious to me that, like, a person growing up in that situation would be a psychopath.
Yes.
Like the way that Saddam treated political dissenters and stuff like that. People would, you know, there'd be like mass graves dug along the side of the road. It wasn't a delightful place to be in Iraq in those days. I'm not saying that that's okay for Uday, but or
You just
justifying
In terms of the film, that's why it makes sense. Because, like, once again, for all of
and
this,
real life.
for this, we're not speaking about what we believe to be actual fact, or we're speaking 100% in regards to what happens in the film about these characters that they present us. Because even this is based on stories, like books written by Latif's real person, whose name is Latif. But there's a lot of contention as to whether or not stuff like that is actually true. There are some things that are very similar, like the big scene that had us all screaming in shock was at when Uday cuts the Achilles
He
heels
slashes Achilles' heel.
of
God.
Saddam Hussein's taste tester, and then when he's on the table lying down screaming, he just starts swinging with a knife until he eventually disembowels him in front of everyone at a
And
party.
then shot him in the face.
I don't even remember what my original point was, just because I was remembering that scene and just how we were all like, good.
It was a really shocking scene. Like, the violence came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, it was like...
Well,
He was mad. He was...
the escalation, it went 0 to 60 right away.
It got out of hand really quick.
Well, it's like the thing
But
is,
it was a great combo. He finished him.
Yeah, he dropped him.
It's one of those things that Patrick and I actually talked about before, where it's this juxtaposition of violence, because up until that point there was some torture footage which was pretty realistic and pretty creepy.
It was disturbing.
but it was never that violent. Then all of a sudden, just guts fall out of him, and
they don't linger on it, but they showed a good shot of guts coming out of a human being. It was pretty intense. It was pretty hardcore.
Pretty intestine.
What else? What other? Because I have one note about this movie was there is a lot of violence.
Yes.
Or it seems that there's lots of violence.
I'm gonna like kind of like see if I can jump inside James's brain here, because he said he had a hard time with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it feels like a heavy movie, not in the sense of violence, because it's like an emotional violence, because you just see like Uday destroy these people, and it's like it's a hard movie to watch at times. I imagine for the majority.
Really, Uday's character, Udi.
This isn't Garfield.
But yeah, Uday's character, just a complete disregard for the well-being of any other human is what made him such a deplorable character, and the movie's so hard to watch with his actions. Like later in the movie, you see a scene with the father of one of the victims, and he's talking about how he's a monster, and Uday's just like, yeah, fuck this guy.
Your daughter was a whore. She was asking for it.
Yeah, and it's just like, you fucking cunt. Like, someone needs to slap you in the goddamn face.
I'm gonna censor that word.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? That reminds me of the tone of the scene where Uday gets everyone to take off all their clothes at the club, at the party, and they all do it because they're scared of him.
And he also is holding a gun at the same time.
And he's holding a gun. Whenever Uday's around, everyone's scared for their life because he's so irrational, and he'll do something out of nowhere. Everyone's terrified, and they do whatever he says because they're afraid of him. He's a psychopath. And it reminds me of Joe Pesci.
In Goodfellas?
Yeah.
And those scenes are very stressful because you're like, this guy is so violent and so ill-tempered. He'll just go off the handle and shoot the drink boy for nothing.
It's same with what the fuck is his name? Anton Sugar in No Country for Old Men.
But that's more calculating.
It is, but at the same time, like he'll kill anyone and he won't care.
Yeah, no, he'll be indifferent about it.
Yeah.
But there's something like Anton Sugar is very scary. But there's something scary about like the chaotic excitability, the
person,
very frantic,
just the untouchableness of the person, where they can live without consequence, and they just
the Joker.
He has consequence. Batman comes and beats him up every now and again.
He doesn't care. But Uday is, people around him live under a constant umbrella of fear. Like even his he has a handler who I'm guessing reports to Saddam Hussein. And in one scene, Uday's outside getting busy with two girls and being disruptive in a hound dog. And Latif says to the handler, he says, he's a psychopath, you know that, right? Like, he's insane. And then the guy's like, he can't say yes, no, because obviously, like, that would be a, conflict of interest with his job. But he kind of, like, nods and he's like, yeah, he's a psycho.
Uday.
And that gross scene where he was with his mom, hey?
Yeah.
He had that really close relationship with his mom. We don't hear like any dialogue out of her.
But yeah, he's very
close
and even just
mom.
Like the lines when he's freaking out at the guy that he disembowels, it's all about the fact that basically he doesn't like that this guy has made it so that his mom's feelings got hurt.
Yeah. Uday is kind of a mama's boy in
a very
it's
very weird sense.
He's just a giant.
Oh, he is a huge
child.
kid. He is a huge kid.
Yeah.
More so than me.
I don't think we're not saying that has anything to do with his pedophilic interests.
Oh, god damn.
That's just he's an absolutely sicko.
Yes. Props to Dominic Cooper for playing such a despicable character, because I'm no actor, but I imagine stuff like that's pretty hard to do, to play like someone who's just that wrong.
There's a scene where Uday's driving all over Baghdad and he's trying to pick up these young girls, like look like they're in junior high. They must be like 15.
14 they say in the movie.
And they've got braces on, they're so little. And he's picking them up in his Porsche and he takes them back to the palace and he
gets them drunk, cocaine, and then he does bad things to them, to put it nicely.
You never see it though. The movie skirts around that.
But they do show it in such a way that it's like it's a very uncomfortable scene to watch. Once again,
there's lots of like foreplay and
like props to the actors for doing a scene like that without
fucking crying themselves to sleep.
That actually happens quite a
the guy from The Girl with the Dragon
Tattoo.
Tattoo.
With the Dragon Tattoo, when he has to
The Guardian.
When he has to have that very hard scene to watch again with Rooney Mara. He spent the next day in his hotel room or trailer crying, like locked inside and just spending the whole day crying. Because they're hard scenes to do. You have to get into a place that's like, that you don't want to go into, right? Yeah. In general, I really enjoyed the movie. I liked the story of it. The thing I liked the most was Dominic Cooper.
It was his movie.
It was his movie. But at about like maybe when there's like 30 minutes left in the movie, it shifts its tone from like a political character piece to a spy movie.
It's like a Bourne movie. He's on the run.
He's on the run.
Yeah.
And at that point, I checked out.
You did?
I did. I was not interested in the movie after that point.
Really?
Just because it was dumb.
I could tell because you started talking.
Yeah, it's true. And I went on my phone, right? Yeah. Because I liked the movie up until that point, and then it just became cliche garbage as far as I'm concerned.
It seemed like that there was a couple things that Lateef did in that movie that weren't really motivated or we didn't really buy. The thing where Lateef finally he attempts Uday gives him an ultimatum to shoot someone, and Lateef says no and shoot me instead. I'll make it easy for you, and then he slashes his own wrists.
I was still in it then.
Oh no, yeah. But after that, so they dump him back at his family's house, which I don't understand why. They figure maybe sometime with the family get right, then come back.
Yeah.
And so then a couple days later, after he's recuperated, Uday sends a notice calling to have him come back to go to the naked party. The naked party that he's throwing.
I don't think it was necessarily a few days. Like, that's one other thing that the
timelines is unclear.
He definitely didn't have the bandages on his arms.
Yeah.
So I think it was really months after.
But so then Lateef goes back, but he goes there with a gun, and it looks like the idea was that he was planning on shooting Uday.
There's also
it was the dumbest thing in the world.
There's also a whole romance story that I didn't like. That to me was the weakest part of the movie.
I feel like the ending and the romance story was shoehorned in by producers who wanted that in there.
Yeah,
especially even the action. I'm speaking crazy, but that was this whole movie wasn't that Hollywood. But the love story and the ending, when he was on the run and shooting guns and escaping on
hiding
horseback,
around corners,
it was very Hollywood to me. And I can watch a movie from Hollywood and like it, but when 70% of your movie is this hard to watch, engaging story, and then it just shifts gears into something else, it's I'm out.
See, when they introduced the love character played by Ludivine Segnier. I'm sorry, miss, for mispronouncing your name. Not that you're going to listen to this. But she plays Uday's lover.
Yes.
And she kind of pops up at these parties, and she's always hanging off him and giving him what he wants. And so they set it up that she wants Lateef, because he's obviously the better man. And so she's always eyeballing him up, and eventually they get closer and closer, and they start.
But they don't ever really show them getting close. It's just kind of they're always in the same place, and then they fuck.
But
that's how it works sometimes for adults. We're still all children, so
I know. But they set it up where Uday's handler says any woman that Lateef or Uday has chosen, stay away from her. Yeah. It's bad news. It's going to cause trouble. And then, so they plant that seed. You never introduce a gun in the first act if you're not going to shoot it in the third.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was waiting for that moment where there's a really tense scene where Uday walks in on them.
Never happened.
It never happens.
It never happened.
That would have been something to do with that relationship. Instead, they just have this very ho-hum relationship that's kind of forced in there.
And I also did not like her as a character.
They just, it's I still stand by the fact that they wanted that in there because movies are supposed to have love scenes, so and then they also got that sex scene in it. It's just one of those things that's just
that sex scene. It wasn't necessary.
No, it wasn't necessary, and it frustrated me. I think this is going to sound much worse than it is, but this is actually it's
I'm not racist,
for the majority of the sex scene, he was he firmly had his hands on her breasts to the point that you never saw them. And it's not the sense that I want to see them, right? It's the sense that I find that to be a very unnatural thing to see.
But they weren't covering her breasts, let's say, for ratings purposes or anything, because there's tons of full frontal nudity later in the movie.
And that's what also makes it seem weird. It's one of those things where they signed on the sex scene, and then the actress was no nudity, and they were got it. we'll do it in this really weird way that
Where he's
didn't
always
really.
holding your
Well,
breasts.
you don't know how they make love in Baghdad.
But yeah, true. But like, it was.
Baghdad.
Whoa. Whoa. And to me, that was just, it really took me out of it because
Took you out of that engaging sex scene.
because it's so not real, and I don't like, in this movie it was portraying itself as pretty real.
Just to backpedal a little bit, but kind of touch on that point there about the violence of it. Where you say it's a pretty violent movie, the violent scenes are actually pretty few and far between, beyond a few shots being popped off. But the ones that are there are so gritty.
It goes by that juxtaposition theory of mine.
Yeah.
It's like Pan's Labyrinth. Everyone remembers the violent bottle scene in Pan's Labyrinth, but it's like, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's such a violent movie." But
Or
it's like
Drive.
Very
little violence, but there was like the most violent movie I've ever
like
watched.
the violent scenes were like 20s. As opposed to spreading out like 100 twos, it was 5 20s.
It's definitely less is more with violence for impact in movies.
And
like you can watch Rambo or any sort of Arnold movie, and it's like whatever, it's just candy.
Or it's like a Quentin Tarantino movie where it's just it's cartoony.
But like if you hold it and treat it seriously, it hits so hard, and it does in this movie.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we're not saying it's a super violent movie, but it feels very violent.
Just the violence that is there,
and the
really
emotional violence. I can definitely see a lot of people not liking the movie because of that.
There are some scenes that are stressful to watch because of the
subject matter.
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about just visually.
Sure,
movie,
go for it.
Visually, just we've kind of touched on the characters and the whole plot and everything, but just. The visual presentation and how it looks. One of the things that really annoyed me was just kind of the filter, the yellow gold filter over it, which I understand, but it was just a little too harsh, I felt. Everything kind of blended together and not in a natural looking way for me. But it also just the contrast wasn't there in the movie where he's not in this very luxurious sort of these areas where Uday spends his time when he's out with the troops or something, or when he's back at home. It's just so washed out with white, but those little bits are so few and far between, and then at the very end of the movie they kind of go back to this gold filter, even though he's not in that luxurious.
I did not notice the gold filter at the end. There was that one shot where just someone's.
It comes back.
The last scene.
I did not know. I guess I wasn't watching the movie. I was admittedly not watching the movie at that point.
Oh, and also, you know what? I kind of checked out too, because I don't remember the end as much as I remember the rest of the movie. But maybe that speaks to when they turn into a spy thriller. How do we feel about that scene at the very end where he attempts to assassinate him? Like, that was not that interesting.
No, it was not interesting at all. And I looked up the actual stuff that happened to O'Day. There was an assassination attempt that he was left.
And was it Latif?
No, there was no proof for or against it, which makes me believe that
it was
feel written into it.
No, like the whole movie is a great movie. Like say up until the 70% mark, where it's like here's the story, the drama, the character drama, and it's like, how do we end this? Because we have to tie it into real world events.
Yes, that's very true.
Well, see, the first 70% of the movie is not concerned with telling a narrative, really. Like an A to B story.
Yeah.
It's a character movie.
Yeah. It should have stayed a character movie.
It wasn't really telling a plot, per se. It was about two people interacting. And then they had to force an ending that was, like, concrete.
And even then, just spoilers for the in-depth part of the film, the fact that they could have kept it as a character piece by removing some of that action, or even then the action wasn't that excessive, but if they could have shot it in a different style, even that would have made it more tense. But the fact that at the very end it's just shoehorned in there where he's like, oh, I have a plan, and then he goes to the husband of the bride that Uday raped.
Killed.
Well, she killed herself.
She killed her. Well, he killed her.
Yeah. But anyways, and then he's just like, "Hey, let's assassinate Uday," but they don't really talk about it.
No, there's
it's
no
just kind of it's all just kind of in there. But that would have been a way to carry on that character piece, is to kind of expand on that and just like
talk to the husband.
Yeah, talk to the fucking guy and be like, "Hey, listen, this is my situation."
How do you feel? Like you've been?
Do you want to like try this? Because like I got nothing to live for. You got nothing to live for.
I've been impersonating this guy for so and so years, and like you piece of shit, you like help this guy. Like there could have been an interesting interact.
Yeah.
It would have been so much more interesting if the final confrontation was just a conversation between Latif and Uday.
Yeah,
and like there was an understanding that like that Latif was leaving. It could have been really tense.
It could have been.
Exchange.
Yeah, like there was a lot of phone calls in the end of the movie as he was on the run, and they always like had tabs on him. Even just the fact that it literally could have been a phone call to end the movie where he's like,
yeah, that's fine though.
You know?
It would have been fine if it was a good, well written.
Yeah,
but instead we get him getting shot in the dick and the guy running away.
Albeit him getting shot in the dick works for the theme of the movie.
Yes,
because of how much evil that penis caused.
Yeah,
because like that was a very evil penis.
Yeah, Saddam tried to cut it off.
So
Saddam is the good guy with the movie.
Yeah.
So you're for Saddam.
I'm not saying I'm for Saddam. I'm just saying that
Saddam
he
does
had the good
penis.
idea with getting rid of that evil wiener. Because that's really the enemy of the movie.
Isn't Uday really the wiener?
Oh.
But Saddam does have a line when he says, "I should have killed him at birth."
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is kind of twisted because like you're a father. You should.
Yeah, but when you're a hardcore dictator, you don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you dictate your children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You dictate them in line. Whoa. Yeah. So, because this is the Golden Shakespeare, some of you may not know that there is a festival all about movies called the Golden Shakespeare, and we actually run the festival, right?
Holy
it happens
man.
once a year where we basically just come together and we give away
Golden
Shakespeare's 2 movies for doing good things. So, after we watch a movie, we sit down, and this movie is now in the running for an award. So we, as a committee, each get to come up with a nomination for this film in the Golden Shakespeare Festival. I notice on Patrick's paper that he has one written down right now. So we'll let Patrick start. Patrick, what do you nominate the Devil's Double for in the Golden Shakespeare?
For the film season of... Are we saying this is for the 2014 season?
The 2014
Because we can't go back in
season.
2011 and review it.
Yeah.
Okay, for the 2014 Golden Shakespeare, I am nominating the Devil's Double for the best disemboweling Golden Shakespeare.
That is a very good
And
nomination.
it's a tough act to follow.
It is. And, like, basically, when the festival actually comes to, this will probably just go into the best death scene category. But, like, right now, it has the title of best disemboweling. So, James, do you have something you would like to nominate it for?
I would like to say the best use of clever framing to avoid showing an actor's double.
We're going to need to get a bigger plaque on the Golden Shakespeare for that one.
It's a big award.
Okay, best.
No. It's good. It's perfect.
Best twin. Best twin movie.
No, that's twins, you fool.
So, it's when we do these nominations, we don't need to actually... Because I had one, but hearing Patrick's really swayed me, and I'm going to second his nomination for Best Disemboweling.
Well, what was the one you were?
Well, mine was just going to be a boring Best Actor, because I have no creativity, and he just really impressed me, right?
Yeah.
But when I saw Best Disemboweling, I thought, well, not you. You weren't going to get the Best Acting award. Dominic Cooper was.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but I'm sorry.
Never worked
So
out
I'm going to go with Best Disemboweling for my nomination as well.
Yes, and before I feel like we're slowly wrapping up on the Devil's Double,
yeah.
but I just wanted to talk about the director,
Yes.
Lee Tamahori. Looking at his IMDb credits, I'm gotta say, I'm not really impressed.
You can definitely see where it falls apart at the end due to his past history.
So he, in his most notable movies is Die Another Day. Personally, my most hated Bond movie.
Personally, my favorite. That's a lie. No one. And that look you gave me, James, was a death stare. Don't worry, I hate Die Another Day.
Personally, my most hated Bond movie. Next to Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's one of those two. He directed Next, starring Nicolas Cage and Julianne Moore. That's where Nicolas Cage can see 30 seconds into the future to dodge bullets and things.
Yeah.
But then he also did direct Along Came a Spider, which is an adaptation of a thriller novel, and it starred Morgan Freeman and
Ashley Judd?
Ashley Judd, isn't it?
I don't know. I pulled a name out of my butt. I could be wrong.
Right. And Michael Wincott, who I had to shoehorn him into this podcast because I love his voice. He's got an amazing voice. So he's in Along Came a Spider. He's the kidnapper. Spoilers in that. He's also in Alien Resurrection as the ship captain, and he was recently in Hitchcock, starring Helen Mirren and Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I did.
Is it good?
I liked it.
I want to watch it.
I liked it. People are one or two ways about it. It's divisive. But Hitchcock has these moments where he doesn't have flashbacks, but he sees visions, and he talks to Ed Gein, who inspired Psycho.
Okay.
And so Michael Wincott speaks to Alfred Hitchcock as the serial killer Ed Gein, and he's got that fantastic, really gravelly, really deep voice.
Cool.
It's a very good. It's almost Tom Waitsy, but better, almost, if you could say that.
Of Lee Tamahori's catalog, I definitely feel like The Devil's Double is the best.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
very strong.
But as you said, it kind of showcases where that 70%, like the 30% at the end, came from.
Well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt here, where he gets kind of these action movies forced upon him. And he's just like, I don't know how to do this, because if he directed the character bit of it, like, that was fantastic.
Yeah, it's like, he's actually a phenomenal drama director, but they're like, here's XXX2, and it's like,
yes. And he also did
direct
XXX State of the Union.
One last thing I want to say about The Devil's Double before we go to our topic of the week, which I'm going to decide.
Can we start ordering doubles as The Devil's Double? Or do you think they won't get that at Timmy's?
I think they'll probably look at us and be like, so what the fuck, do you want a bagel? You know?
What is Devil's Double? What is that? That's like hot sauce in your double.
Oh, God.
No, that's something that'll just rip through you. The Devil's Double.
I wish the movie was not in English. I feel like the movie would have been better if it was,
It would have been interesting if it was subtitled.
Yeah. So that's The Devil's Double. This week, I want to talk about, I hate space. I think it's stupid.
Fuck you.
It's cold.
It's stupid.
It's devoid of temperature.
It is dumb. But there's been a lot of hustle and bustle about the casting of the new Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. So you guys like space.
Fucking love Star Wars too.
So I want to ask your guys' opinion on how the next Star Wars is shaping up.
Okay, here's my nerd rant.
Okay, we're going to talk about the EU.
No,
Are we going to talk about the EU?
No.
We should talk about the EU and not the European Union here.
Oh, I thought, because I hate Greece.
Whoa.
Just touching on the European
Grecian
Union.
people, we apologize.
No, it's just the country.
Oh, okay.
I don't like.
You hate the shape of it. It's It's like when you look at Saskatchewan and you're like, what kind of fucking province is that?
I don't like the decor. Every time I go into a Greek restaurant, they got photos of Greece. I'm like, that doesn't look nice.
All right, let's talk about your beef with Star Wars.
My beef with
What's the beef with Star Wars?
Okay, extended universe stuff. Yes, it is. I love the movies, and I'm a big fan of like just the whole idea of Star Wars. Lightsabers, Jedi's, like it's all really cool. But I'm not such a fanboy that I've read all the books, and I'm all butthurt about the extended universe.
For those who don't know, Disney has announced that they are not acknowledging the expanded universe post Return of the Jedi. There was lots of literature, books, comic books, what you name it, that carried on the storyline, and they are saying that is not in the canon anymore.
Isn't that either direction though? Like pre-episode 1, post?
Probably. And I have a quick comment I want to make on this. But do you want to go? Actually, you do yours first.
Okay. I'm willing to give the new direction the benefit of the doubt. I'm hopeful because J.J. Abrams is doing it, and to me, he's one of the few directors who are giving sci-fi a new breath of life. Yes, his movies are they're very
corny.
They're Abramsy, right? They have a style, they have a look, but I enjoy them all.
They're good. They're fun movies.
They have flaws, but like when I go to a space movie, I'm not looking for something super heavy duty that I'm not going to pick it apart. I'm just there for the ride.
Well, it's like there's two kind of heads to sci-fi that I know about off the top of my head. One is the actiony laser pew pewy, and the other one is the question, like bringing big questions into what we have in life, like Bicentennial Man. With Robin Williams.
Yeah,
that's not a space movie.
That's a space movie.
He was in RV as well. Your point.
My point about the extended universe is good. I'm glad it's gone. Not because
Chewbacca lives now.
Not because it's I have anything against the extended universe, but here's what would happen if they did it, right? They would make a movie based on one of the stories, and everyone would hate it and say the story was better, the original. So now what they do is the extended universe still exists as a story. Those things can keep getting written, but now the movies have their own story as well.
Yeah. But the expanded universe is, for all intents and purposes now, fan fiction.
Yes, which is the downside, but if it's good fan fiction, let it be fan
Well,
fiction.
there's also the downside that if the expanded universe was what they drew upon for these movies, there'd be no surprise. And like if you're
Yes, that's the biggest thing as well.
if you're like a big mouth-breathing neckbeard in your mom's basement, no offense, neckbeards, you're beautiful in your own way.
Your mom loves
Guilty
you.
as charged.
There's nothing to look forward to because the remnants of the empire will you know what's going to happen. This way you're in the dark like everyone else. Anything is open for the future.
Here's what I think is going to happen. My legitimate prediction.
Legitimate.
Because
not trolling.
No, it would not surprise me one bit if this actually did happen. I'd throw up my hands and be like, I can't believe I called that because that was so outlandish.
All right, it's going down here.
It is. Hollywood right now is really into tying everything together. Abrams just rebooted Star Trek essentially by going through a wormhole. He can shoehorn Star Wars and Star Trek together, and people no longer need to fight over them because he can bring them together.
Can you imagine the fucking riot that would
just
happen?
It's not going to happen.
And Star Wars, the new one is going to end with a fucking wormhole, and people are going to be like, "Oh, I wonder what's on the other side."
And the Enterprise is going to come through.
Yeah.
What
What
if-
if post credits? Fucking Kirk is staring at the other end of the wormhole.
What if they don't even do that? It just ends with Star Wars them going into a wormhole.
Yeah.
Then the next movie, the next Star Trek movie, takes place within Star Wars, and Darth Vader's there for some reason.
Yeah.
Star Wars happened in the
Darth
galaxy
Vader,
far, far away.
Mickey.
A long time ago.
Wormholes negate far, far away.
A long time ago.
Yeah. Also time.
You know what, James? If you made a space movie regarding that, I'd watch it in a heartbeat because I enjoy both those franchises, and but you know what I enjoy more? Seeing fans of them just froth with rage.
I do froth with rage. I froth.
No. Okay. But back to my original rant. But it does suck that they're taking such a huge pop culture that people are so invested in and just saying what you cared about and all these characters that you may have cared about in the extended universe don't matter anymore. That really does suck. But I am very hopeful and looking forward to that new breath of life, especially considering I'm kind of the odd persuasion where I actually liked the prequels except for Attack of the Clones.
Did they actually say, though, in their press release that the expanded universe doesn't matter, or they just weren't going to follow that for their canon?
It's no longer canon.
Because I feel like that stuff doesn't matter is people filling in the Disney attacking them when it's just Disney being like, we're doing our own
We're
canon.
taking it in a new direction.
Yeah.
But I mean that's fair. That's fair because George Lucas, he was controlling Star Wars, right? Now Disney owns it. It's their right to say
They paid the billions.
This is they're the shepherds of the universe now. They can take it whatever direction.
Well,
they
they've got to at least recoup their. How much did they pay? Was it $6 billion?
I have no idea.
They've got to recoup their loss of that
They're
purchase.
gonna have no problem doing that in merchandise, even if this thing's an abomination.
Does George Lucas probably still have a share of?
I thought he sold all of LucasArts.
Oh,
I thought
wow.
he just sold LucasArts.
Yeah.
So Disney also owns Indiana Jones.
And you know what? Actually, them owning this stuff is the best thing to happen to it because I was talking to Patrick about this 3 weeks ago, where I'm saying Disney, they've been doing pretty good with the Marvel thing, and Patrick's like, that's because they like money. If you make a good quality product, you'll get good money.
Yeah.
Also, what's really weird about Disney, just a little trip, they own Power Rangers.
Who doesn't?
They got that when they acquired Fox Family in the late 1990s from Heinz Saban.
He is actually a Power Rangers historian.
No,
I think it's really weird that
I'm a Disney file.
I can't go to Disneyland and experience a Power Ranger ride.
I want the Rita Repulsive Lord
I
Zed ride.
want the to keep on topic of Star Wars here. Either the Star Wars shuttle ride where you're like
Star
"Whoa,
Tours."
just Star Tours. Thank you.
What a dumb name! Oh
Well,
my
you
god!
go on a tour. You go on a tour.
but the Empire hijacks is like, you are part of the Rebel Alliance.
And you're like, oh no, they found me out.
I'm the
Oh
Rebel
my-
spy.
Also, I thought you were dead, Darth Vader. But
Oh, spoiler alert! He's fucking Luth Vader's dog.
Luth
Luth Vader.
That's
Do you know what Star Wars is?
yeah. It's that one with the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
No, that's Kurt Russell.
But I would love.
Oh, good. That was a joke.
I would love to go to Disneyland and just have a Power Rangers Megazord ride along.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, and you just from the point one where Rita Repulse is make my monster grow, and then they're like, let's get in the fucking dinosaur.
You know what I'm excited for? No joke. when they finally get to work the Marvel universe into Disney parks, and maybe there's like Marvel Land.
Maybe there's
Holy crap.
You know those roller coasters where like
In Universal?
Well, no, just roller coaster designs in general.
Yeah.
There's some roller coasters or rides where it's like kind of like a hang glider harness where you're like
you're hanging
hands
under.
out front and everything. It'd be really cool if they did like a sweet ass Iron Man one, but like jet fighters fly at you.
I just want them
They
to
hire jet fighters to fly at this roller coaster.
I just want them to build Iron Man suits and me to fly them around Disneyland and shoot like repulsor beams at things.
Yeah, like the Stormtroopers.
I don't know. There might be an issue with that though, because I know Universal Studios has the right for Marvel characters in theme parks. Last time I looked, when we were there in Florida,
I have no fucking clue and I don't care.
I feel like though when Disney gets the chance, they're going to eat that up. Like,
but they can't. Like that's why Sony's holding on to Spider-Man by
but the
making
thing is,
all these superfluous
I feel
sequels.
like with at that point, like that would be a deal that isn't made like a Sony, like a movie deal where they have the rights to the character. It might be one of those things where they made the deal with Marvel, and now when the deal is going to become renewed, I don't know this for sure, but Disney could just be like, fuck it, we're going to keep it. I'm sure that's exactly like Mickey Mouse is going to be like, fuck it, like we'll keep it.
But yeah, Star Wars.
So Star Wars and the casting.
Yeah.
So the original guys are all back. Carrie-Anne Moss, Harrison Ford,
Chewbacca.
I forget. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Oh, Carrie-Anne Moss.
Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. There's two Carries in Hollywood. I get them mixed
And
up.
there's a whole movie about one too.
Yeah.
Carrie.
Sissy Spacek.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
laugh
The
at
casting.
They're all going to laugh at you.
I love that line.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and then the gentleman who played Chewbacca,
Peter Mayhew, I believe. Is it?
C-3PO, and R2-D2. They're all back. Oh God, what is the name? The guy who plays he's the head of pre-crime in Minority Report. He's been cast in this.
I have no idea.
He's been cast in this. Andy Serkis has been cast in it. Apparently not playing a CG character.
That's what I've read online, yeah.
Like, he's the best in the world at it.
Yes.
Like, if he does it, I don't like...
Really? Because I think computers are better at it.
No, I think Andy Serkis is the best
He
at it.
controls the computer, though, with his performance.
He's
It's
like Johnny
crazy.
Mnemonic.
The one I'm excited for is Max von Sydow being in it. As
That's him.
Oh, that's him?
Yes.
I nailed it.
That's
perfect.
him.
I'm perfect.
Let's splice that.
Have you not seen Minority Report?
I hate the future.
Have you... Answer the question.
I've seen it, but I didn't care about it.
Okay, but tell me, how sick are the computers in there? Like,
I hate the future.
Man, that'd be so
Tom
awesome.
Cruise had Kinect way before we had Kinect.
Yeah. Connect to pad.
But then, okay, so do you have any of the names of the other cast members?
No,
for Star
because
Wars?
they're all up and coming like British.
only-
That could be I'm pulling that.
The only one that I recognize from something they've done previously is one of the guys was one of the Weasleys in the Harry Potter movies.
Yes.
And that's like the biggest name of the new people, and that says something.
I like that they're going to lesser known people. It's less like the only big names are Andy Serkis, apart from the original, are Andy Serkis and Max von Sydow.
I am very excited to see, because I don't know if you guys have really watched Harrison Ford's recent performances, but it really seems like he's kind of just phoning it in and almost reading a teleprompter.
He's pretty salty.
He is. But I can honestly say the last movie that I watched, one of his performances was like, yeah, you blew me away. Was that? I don't even remember the name of the movie.
Cowboys
Air Force
versus
One or whatever.
Indians.
What about The Fugitive? I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen The Fugitive. But
My
the
favorite
one
is
where
him and Bruno.
the one where he's a fucking president.
Was he in Bruno?
Yeah,
Are you trolling me?
No, Bruno's like, he has a TV show that he pitches to a television company, and he's like, I have a exclusive interview with Harrison Ford, right? And like a whole video, and then he's like, now it's time for my interview with Harrison Ford! And then Harrison Ford walks by, and Bruno's like, Harrison, what do you think of it? And he just says, fuck off! And keeps walking. It's very funny.
Oh, jeez, that's good.
No. I'm really excited to see Han Solo, just kind of old, like decrepit, and like kind of like Alzheimer's grandpa.
No, I want to
see
see him like. I want him to seem pretty much the same he did in Crystal Skull, which never happened.
Yeah.
But just really grumpy old Harrison Ford. But Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see him just like Greedo someone for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, just shoot them.
I think it'd be really funny if just like he's so done with them all right now at this point, and like I don't know, they're just like Chewbacca's shooting somebody. He's like, why don't you learn English?
Yeah, like they just let him improvise the whole movie, and he's just like sitting with a cup of coffee, like Starbucks. Like, I don't
It's
know.
whiskey. It's whiskey.
Well, it's a Starbucks container.
Yeah.
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 So we like to end our Golden Shakespeares with a movie recommendation, and then we'll tell you what we're watching next week so you can watch it as well.
So, yeah, we got off on the wrong foot with you here. The idea is that we tell you what the movie is so that you can watch it and enjoy it for yourself, and then come tune in next week and listen to us so that you don't have anything spoiled and you can see what we took away and see if you agree with how we felt about the films. So we didn't quite have that opportunity this time, unless you've already watched The Devil's Double, but we will rectify that in coming weeks, and you will get to watch the movie, hopefully, if you choose to go on this journey with us. And join us next week having watched the film.
James looks really scared for some reason.
I didn't realize this was a journey. I didn't pack anything.
Don't worry, the only thing you need to pack is a quick wit and a love of film. That's our tagline. Quick wit and a love of film.
That's
We'll
terrible.
keep writing.
Yeah.
Actually, my tagline always is the podcast where we talk about movies. So, Patrick, what's your recommendation for people to go watch?
My recommendation is a 2005 Australian horror film, or pretty much snuff film, called Wolf Creek. It was directed by Greg McLean, and it stars John Perrat. And it is loosely based on these murders that happened in the late 80s, early 90s in Australia, kind of in the outback. And
Not the steakhouse.
no, delicious bloomin' onions. Those bloomin' onions. Yeah,
Those go right through you. They're like a devil's double.
Oh God, we're not doing this.
Yeah, it's a horror movie about these sexy teens from America who are going, of course, they're
Someone
going.
spit on my laptop.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
God.
you. You're spitting on everything today.
Yeah, you like
Sexy teens go to Australia.
sexy teens go to Australia, and they're like doing the hostel thing and backpacking and camping, and they're out in the wilderness at this place called Wolf Creek, and their car breaks down. Of course,
Oh shit, they're done.
Yeah,
They're sexy. Their cars broke. Is it nighttime?
it becomes eventually when day progresses. And this guy shows up who's a local, and he helps them, or maybe doesn't, and the mayhem begins. Just a side note, it's a very violent movie. It's very heavy. It's a horror movie, person's horror movie. It's very no hope and very dark. But
I should watch it. I haven't seen it.
you must watch it.
I will.
It's a very disturbing film, very callous, but it's very effective. I think there was some social and political hoo-ha over in Australia when it came out. They said it was a
Oh, Australia had a political issue with something.
Whoa.
I don't want to upset
It's
the
a
continent
continent
of
full of
Australia.
racists.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
I'm not associated with this Australia.
I'm just saying, though, I love Mel Gibson and Russell Crowe. Is he Australian? I have no idea.
We love him anyway.
Yeah.
But
that's great.
yeah, Wolf Creek. A second one just recently came out. I haven't watched it, but if
Don't,
you're...
I tell you right now, don't watch
Wolf
it.
Creek 2?
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
What? Sexy teens from Canada! Let's check out where those sexy teens from America got murdered.
You wouldn't have the heart to kill sexy teens from Canada because they're so polite. They'd apologize when you were killing
I'll tell
them.
you right now, killers, they don't
I'm sorry
care.
you feel this way.
James, do you have a movie you want to recommend?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into as much depth as Patrick because I want people to just watch the movie and decide it for themselves.
Fuck off.
But Pacific Rim. I love space. I love gratuitous.
There's no space in Pacific Rim!
No, in the very beginning, he's like, I thought alien life would come from the stars. By the way,
That's
that's
a
like
shot underwater.
That's the intro line. No, it fades to a shot underwater.
No! That's particulate in the water,
No.
fool.
Those are stars that transfer into particulate in the water. Shut your fucking
It
mouth.
was particulate.
My
in the sea.
My film is The Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson.
It was fucking space.
I highly
It wasn't.
recommend you check it out.
Absolutely.
It
I'll fucking pop it in right now.
It is-
I want to watch this horseshit movie.
No, it's not horseshit. It's fantastic. It's got giant robots and giant monsters.
It stars Ralph Fiennes as the lead character, and it's very funny and very good. You should check it out. Next week, we are going to be watching the original Godzilla. This is to celebrate the theatrical release of the new Godzilla, which I know all three of us are excited about.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Back
excited.
to my point about Pacific Rim.
No,
giant monsters.
No.
We're not going to get back into this argument. So this is the 1954 Godzilla, directed by Ishiro Honda. If you want to watch it, it's pretty easy to find. I know there's a very expensive $40 Criterion Blu-ray Blu-ray if you want to buy it.
Nice plug. How much money are you getting?
Not enough. I just want to go into your closet, Criterion. That's all I want. Other than that, I'm sure there's also a wide distributed release for it. But we'll be talking about that one next week. And we look forward to seeing you. You guys can say your goodbyes or argue about Pacific Rim further. No matter what you do, I'm going to fade you guys out in the middle of it.
I want to strangle him. It's particulate in the ocean. It is not space. That's the whole point of the shot.
Okay, well, I don't have to mention it.